Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Wahyu Rakhmadiah. My ID number is T2019-6164. Well, in this marvelous opportunity, I would like to accomplish my final examination, especially in the academic speaking subject task. Well, here, let me explain you about my journal or my journal article, which is talking about teaching English to young learners through traditional games. Well, we have already known that teaching English for elementary level is very important for preparing students to be ready and well-prepared generation to be met with the future demand like communication and technology. So, in the light of communication, Indonesia is one of countries that join in agreement of Asian economic community, which uses English as the language for global market in the ASEAN. So, dealing with the communication, it is clear that nowadays almost all modern technology using English, such as computer, gadget, and technology, so etc. And there are some students access internets or gadgets for accessing game than playing the traditional ones, so that is surely not a bad thing when students are exposed much to internet. Yet being exposed to the traditional ones is also a good idea, so that Indonesian students will be those who are aware of their own culture. So let's see the two things, that the demand of being able to use English for communication and effort of making the students aware of the traditional games. They have the interested one in investigating the effective of the traditional games as the techniques of teaching English for elementary school students. So through games, teachers can create various contexts in which students have an opportunity to use English for communication, like having nice conversation with a student, exchange information, and express opinion. So from my explanation that we have two keywords, that English and traditional games. Why I choose this journal? Because I think that it's to find out whether traditional games are effective to be used in English teaching and learning. So this research design of the research is quasi-experimental with one control group pre-test and post-test. So the instruments are pre-test and post-test. The games which are used in this research are Gadrik and Betengan. Then the findings shows that traditional games are effective for teaching English, and the suggestions of it is supposed for English teachers in implementing the technique in the class. Okay, let us get started to the introduction of this journal, that it is talking about the curriculum learning. Well, Indonesia uses the curriculum 2013 that impacts on the position of English in schools, particularly that in elementary school. So previously English that is the local content of many schools in Indonesia. Because of this curriculum, English, there is no room for English teaching, then it becomes extracurricular, right? So in the fact that students of elementary school are those who will be living in the world of competition in which that communication is the necessary one. Well, that Indonesia is one of the members of ASEAN Community 2015, which means being agreed to use English within ASEAN trading, that yet the curriculum seems not support on the preparation of young generation to face the demand. So the 2013 curriculum puts English as an extracurricular with 135 minutes per meeting once in a week. So with that policy, there is a worry that both teacher and students will not be aware with the importance of English for communication. So here, therefore, by the existence of it, like there is a function of the traditional games that nowadays most of modern technology use English, and students of elementary schools belong to those who make use for technology. And here, there are exposed much with internet, television, also smartphone and others, which English is there. As the matter of fact that the exposure is not in line with the competence of using English. And the opposite, that children are as the object of many games of the gadgets. Like they spend much of their time playing games online, not the traditional one. So it causes another problem, that is student tends to be more familiar with the modern and online games from gadget than traditional games. And here, according to Pellegrini, in Benedett, games are defined into three categories. First, games are as inclination. And the second, games as context. And the third, games as attitude that can be observed. So those games are considered not only something fun, but the result needs to be considered also. Traditional games are games that exist in certain areas based on the local culture. Traditional games are fun activities for entertaining, maintaining neighborhood, and social comfortable. In the other words, that playing is a need for children, right? Of course, that so playing for children has a value and important characteristic on the progress of daily life, including in traditional games. So don't worry that in the elementary school in English has been introduced since 1998, when competence based on curriculum is applied. So here, students of elementary schools are around 6 until 12 years old. According to Suhartik, they belong to young learners, those aged 4 until 12 years old. She explained that characteristics of young learners are moody, have short attention span, highly motivated on things they like, and the fourth, big curiosity. Fifth is like talking and concrete things. And the last is physical activities. So in line that with that explains similarly characteristic of elementary students, like love playing, like moving, enjoy working in groups, do or act out things directly. So based on the characteristics that have been mentioned above, teachers have to design the teaching and learning progress which accommodates children characteristic, that is designing English teaching learning process that meet their needs. And teachers also should be aware that they certainly have their own world that where they can play and explore their great imagination. Teachers also should have opportunities for students to move and socialize with their fellow classmates in the class. And English curriculum in elementary school, based on the competence-based curriculum, is English in elementary school means the local content. So in the beginning of 2013, when 2013 curriculum was introduced, English then considered to be extracurricular, then it becomes the main, like the standard competence for listening is understanding simple instruction with action in school context. So it's like become the significant one in the other lessons. So like for reading, students are expected to understand simple English texts with pictures, including words, phrases, and sentences, and be able to read aloud with appropriate intonation, pronunciation, and stressing. And for the writing one, students are expected to be able to copy simple words, phrases, and sentences in the class context. So what is the function of the traditional games is? So, traditional games are games that are played by certain community for generations. So, why? These games are some for children and the rest are for adults. Well, traditional games in each area are different on the role showing in the characteristic. Then the purpose of playing traditional games are get amusement, spending spare time, and be sociable. There are three kinds of traditional games based on Sariati and Hayati that classify the games into three parts. That physical games, for example, betengan, gobak sodor, settingan, gundu, engke, bekelan, gobak sodor. And the second one is song games. For example, like they sing watermelon, watermelon, something like that. And the third one is physical and song games. For example, like they sing while expressing the game means. So like 1 little 2 little 3 little finger, 4 little 5 little 6 little finger, and many other songs. And the effectiveness of learning vocabulary through the traditional games shows that through games the students can be relaxed and enjoy the learning. Games also involve friendly competition and still keep their interest to learn. It encourages the students to be involved, that they participate actively in learning activities. And the third, vocabulary games can provide real life into the class context and improve the use of English communicatively. And how is the method? That I have already mentioned just now, that there are three games to be the part of the traditional games. That so to make the validator, the number of the students considered to be object of the research was 18 students who joined either pre or post test. Then the pre-test or the post-test is the physical test, consists of 10 items of the vocabulary in the multiple choice, 5 items of listening, and 5 items for speaking. Okay, maybe that's all what I can explain about my journal article. In conclusion, that traditional games are effective for teaching English. Seeing the result of the research, that there are some suggestions are proposed to English teachers and further researchers. For English teachers, employing traditional games for teaching English can be a good idea. Yet some things should be considered, like the kind of game, the number of the students, the crowd that the students might make while playing the game. Then, for the further researchers, it might be another idea for having traditional games to be more specific for teacher skills, for example, like speaking. But that's all that I can explain you for this recording. Thank you for watching, and may it be useful for us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.